My son would never let me live it down.
Well, that's because it's made of terrazzo.
I have been taking.
That's our next glass of wine.
It's like a wheat beer, huh?
I don't know beer's enough.
That's white.
Ask for Canadian beer.
How long you been staying here? Like an hour?
Hey, you look all rested.
We're like an hour behind you.
We went up and checked out the picnic site, and then
You've been back already, huh?
Dave actually came back down that hill, and
I've fallen
Twice.
four times.
I said, Dave, only words of encouragement. Are we almost
You
there?
need to switch your water bottles.
Because the way they all say out. Go ahead. Sound that different. If that particular word does. Yeah. Yeah. But that's about out and about.
I'm still going up that last hill.
There, but it's probably a good idea just to watch your footing a little bit. On some of these sections can be a little bit more slippery. So about 2.5 kilometers into the trail, we'll get to a very nice viewpoint of the Saguenay River and the St. Lawrence River as well. And what's really neat about this area is the Saguenay is actually part of a fjord system. So a lot of this area here is part of the Canadian Shields. We have a lot of granite, feldspar, that kind of rock. But how the Saguenay Fjord formed was that there was a crack in the Canadian Shield, and through glacial action that ended about 11,000 years ago, same as it did in a lot of areas in North America, that crack just got worn deeper and deeper. So it goes down like a few hundred meters in places, and the fjord itself is one of the longest in the world. That's actually almost 100 kilometers. So really, really neat, and that's what draws us to the area and draws the whales to the area. So you have this really deep fresh water that's meeting, and there's cold water and warm water mixing. So you get this upwelling in that area of where the Saguenay and the St. Lawrence meet. And with that comes a lot of the plankton and the critters that the whales actually come in to feed on. So that's what makes it such a great area for whale watching. Sometimes we see things as early as
Where you want them to? Well, today is they were going for a hike somewhere. I don't know where. I think they're going here. Or walk. Right. You can get. Oh, they're going first class. No. Go to the top, 40, but not out there.
Might as well be Greek. There's no English translation.
Wonderful, smushy. Ooh, it's pretty. We're pausing and.
Tapped after we sold.
Give it to you? I just.
Yeah, that's why I didn't see him.
Photo op, stop!
We're selling this at the end of the tour for
Learned pretty quickly. I just knew I didn't want to land right on the shoulder.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Because then you can really hurt it. I've played enough sports. I knew to kind of tuck the shoulder and take it on this part of the shoulder versus right on the tip of it. Get a little bit of a flat face. Pick your way up. After you get your photo taken. Actually, I think we got a video going now.
Just don't do it.
Just for capture it the way your eyes see it.
Yeah. And it's red and white. You see the hill here? To the left of the hill. Keep going left, 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 left.
Oh, is it the one with the red roof?
Yeah.
Okay.
It almost looks like a tree.
Well, I think it is a church. I think I see a cross on top.
Yeah, I took a picture of that red roof thing.
Okay.
But you can actually zoom in on it. I think it's a church. I also have binoculars.
Oh, really?
Which might work better. I wasn't going to go well watching it without binoculars.
There you go. Okay.
Rick, I need you to just let someone okay.
Zoom in a little bit so that we know we're.
You ready? See if you like it and then I'll
Don't fall. Oh, first shot. She must be a good photographer. I've had to retake photos 5 or 6 times, I'll have you know.
Okay. Just gotta get a picture of you four guys. Yeah, hold on, wait. Cinematography here.
I'm sorry. You finished.
So here departs our Zodiac boat, held 24 people. And we got splashed mercilessly. Yes, we are so cold. Can't wait to warm up in a shower.
I know of 10 people I'm not following.
One round here, extra mask.
Yes,
You're on the list.
I know.
What if the bottom were
I know who those 10 are.
I happen to be on the list as well.
Uphill begins.
Susan, if you've been listening to us, we have told you it's not entirely flat today. Not flat. We never use the F word. You gotta work.
I will tell you all about the ride if you wouldn't mind just giving me your attention. Welcome to Isle-aux-Coudres. I have more copies of the instructions and maps if you're missed. But welcome. So Coudres actually means hazelnut. When Jacques Cartier came here in 1535, he named it Isle-aux-Coudres because of the plethora of hazelnut trees covering the island. And they're actually a really interesting tree. There's only a few of them left, and so I don't think we'll see any on the ride, but they're kind of neat. The local people used to use them because they're sort of a natural barometer. When it's sunny and there's high pressure, the branches will lift up, and when the pressure drops and the temperature decreases, the branches dip down. So the tree changes its look quite significantly depending on the weather. So people would tack a branch onto the outside of their house just as a little thermometer before we had them. So if you notice when you go around the island today too, there are flags everywhere that are red, yellow, and blue, and they're commemorating, this is the 475th anniversary of the island being discovered. So there's a big celebration this summer, and it was a fun time, and you'll see that there's a lot of pride. So this is one of the first islands settled, and now it's quite well connected to the mainland, but you can imagine that in 100 years ago or a few hundred years ago that it was much more difficult to get back to Quebec. So
This is a particularly smelly part of this island with all this seaweed. It smells a lot like sort of Pacific Grove, California, and all the rotting seaweed. Just seems to be a large quantity of it here along this side of the island. Here we are at a Maritime museum, still in Quebec. Now on the mainland, no longer on the island.
Pour qu'il flotte presque durant les mois d'hiver. Quand le fleuve se reposait sous les glaces, c'était le temps de la paix. Le peu d'argent à manquer de l'hiver, on a l'espoir de
Well, 2 hours away from the small island in a quiet world is now the heart of Quebec City at our latest hotel. As large as this hotel room is, the previous one was, I'd say, 50% bigger. Not only was there a bedroom of this size, but then there was a living room area that extended about to this wall, and then walk-in closet and bathroom next to that. So this is substantially smaller than the last place. I should have been taking pictures of that. Each one of the hotels has had a robe before after shower use. Here we are. The start place is a winery and the end place is a winery. Up to 66 kilometers for the day's trip.
Is that the way to go down?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a really cool gallery.
Great.
Alors moi je vais pas vous parvenir, vous allez ramasser les choses.
The lunch place.
That first building, I don't know if you've looked at it much, but there's a building that looks more functional, kind of nice, but functional, not pretty. And that's where her studio is. And she does all the paintings, and they were very nice. But she has in this old stone, beautiful stone cottage, she has a gallery where she sells other artists' work as well. And that probably supports her, but she definitely didn't.
So I'm partway through an 8-kilometer stretch across the top of the island, the middle of the island, and it's been a bit uphill, a bit rolling up and down, but there's no sign of coastal view anywhere along here, just assorted corn and other plants I don't recognize along this route. So this hill comes down from the middle of the island. This one comes from the perimeter of the island. Ends here at the microbrewery. Another 13 miles to go to get to the end point today. 13 kilometers. So, 13 kilometers later, I finally make it to the end point.
It was built in 1712, so it's got a few years behind it. The basement where we're going to be for the tasting later is actually the old summer kitchen, so you can actually see the old cooking stove and the bread oven in there. They're still very functional, and whenever we have enough time to get them going, we do use them. So that is few and far between. The name Bacchus that the vineyard holds is actually the original name for the island. Now, back in 1535, when Cartier arrived from France here, he visited the island with the First Nations and found a lot of these wild vines and grapes on the island. Bacchus is actually the Roman god of wine, so they called it Bacchus. Returned to France in 1536, met up with the king and his son, who was the Duke of Orleans, and as he was giving his report, the Duke said, "Well, we're paying for this expedition. How about that island take my name?" So that's how L'Île d'Orléans carries its name now. So we'll go by it in just a bit, but you can see here on our little fresco that we had painted a few months ago, it's our kind of interpretation of the arrival of Cartier. So you can see them with the First Nations. They're looking at the vines with the raisins, and we had him in the picture here arriving on the west end of the island. So you can see Cap Diamant, the little hill right behind his head, which is Quebec City, where all the citadel is. And you can see his boats in the water. So that's kind of our interpretation of when he arrived here. Take it lightly. There are some misgivings about where he landed originally and whatnot, but
Good point.
as for the vineyard itself, something that started just under 30 years ago. Now, not back in '82, Monsieur Bouchard, the owner, decided, I've got nothing to do with my weekend, let's plant some vines on the front of the house. So the field that you've got behind you over here is the original field that was planted back in '82. So it is a 28-year-old field, and the vines there are 28 years old, obviously. Now, so that is some of the oldest commercial grapes you are going to find in this province, because wine culture in the province is just about that, 30 years old. So it is a very young industry compared to France, which has been doing wine for God knows how long. Yes and no. Actually, from a French family originally and grew up in Calgary, so I went to English daycare. So our next wine here.
I had a little wine left in there.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. But can I dump it out? Is that
So this wine here is the Rosé. Its name is the Saint-Pierre. It's made with only one grape, which is the St. Croix from Minnesota again. You're going to find your taste of wild fruit with the note of strawberry in the finale. They get everybody with the rosé? Yep.
So good morning to all of you. My name is Jean-Marc. I will give you a lot of information, but I don't know what you want to know, so don't hesitate to ask questions. Okay? Well, the tour is approximately 2 hours. Few minutes before noon, we will be at the Parc des Gouverneurs. Approximately 2 hour tour if you don't ask questions. Maybe you've seen that black wave here with the 16 number, 17. You already know what it means? No. It was the shoreline of the St. Lawrence River. You see in 1700, 1600 over there. Okay? And 1800 right there. So progressively people living. I don't know the one time in the morning, but it's nice to visit. Very interesting because they have nice guide. They explain everything. No, you work. It was well done. It was well done. It cost more money, but it was well done for the people.
But for the most part, these buildings are original. I mean, they're restored, but they're restored to original.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what.
And like the approximate age of these around here, do they have any approximate age?
Was for approximately 60,000 French people. And this French colony was surrounding the New England colonies. You know, the 13 England colonies with 2 S. This battery completely disappeared under the landfill. But when the government started the restoration of the district, they rediscovered the battery and they rebuilt it and restored it as it was at the beginning. The same.
One-time seminary behind that gate, basilica.
Last soldier was 95. He put the first stone to a monument that was built over there. Right now the monument is in restoration. You see the stones everywhere, so the monument is in restoration. So they did a